Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days, or today's second video, which will take us into the first week of August. It looks like things could be getting more unsettled into August. We released JMA Friday, which is the month-end look ahead, and that's suggesting quite an unsettled August coming up. Of course, it's only a snapshot of those long-range models, but that's what they're indicating for today. So when you get done with this video, do have a look at JMA Friday and see what's going on there. So we're going to look at weather next week to 10 days. We'll also discuss what happened yesterday with that extreme heat that we had yesterday. The story on that might not be over yet in terms of how hot it got yesterday, so more on that in a moment. ENSO update for July will be coming up this evening. I haven't done it yet. It's been so busy over the past few days that actually I forgot about it until around an hour ago. So I've got to get that done as well this afternoon and post it up for you this evening. That'll be the penultimate ENSO update for this month. So that'll be coming up around 7 o'clock, maybe a little bit later than that, considering I've not done it yet. So it'll be coming up sometime this evening anyway. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to say a big thank you to our latest PayPal donor. So this PayPal donor would like to stay anonymous, which is absolutely fine. If you would like to give a donation to Gaz Others but don't want to mention in the videos, don't want to get a mention and shout out, then just leave a little note with your donation to let us know that you'd rather not have a mention, and that's fine. We'll just say a big thank you to this anonymous person. So we've had a donation. They would like to say anonymous, but I'm going to say a big thank you to anonymous for your donation. You know who you are, so a big thank you to you for your very, very kind donation to Gaz Others. If you would like to give a donation to Gaz Others, all you need to do is come to Gaz Others' PayPal page, sign into your PayPal account, and then you can give a donation to Gaz Others by doing that, and you will get a mention in the videos as long as you want one. Alternatively, you can become a patron for Gaz Others. So we've got 63 patrons so far. Hello, and a big thank you to our 63 patrons. If you would like to become a patron for Gaz Others and give an ongoing monthly donation, then all you need to do is come to the Gaz Others Patreon page, sign up for a Patreon account, assuming you don't already have one, and then give an ongoing monthly donation to Gaz Others. Giving anything from $1 a month upwards, you pull in with all of the other patrons, and by doing this, you're helping us to pay for the website, GazOthers.com, and keep content online. So a big thank you to everybody for doing that. A big thank you to all of our patrons, and a big thank you to all of our donors. Right, so getting on with the video then, this is the tweet that the Met Office put out yesterday afternoon. So, on their official Twitter account, 38.1 Celsius has been recorded at Cambridge. This is only the second time temperatures over 100 Fahrenheit have been recorded in the UK. Hashtag heatwave, hashtag hottest UK July day, hashtag hottest day of the year so far. And there it is on the list of locations. Cambridge coming out at 38.1. Also underneath that is Heathrow, 37.9. Kew Gardens, 37.9. And Writtle at 37.7. Now, at the moment, that temperature, 38.1, still stands as yesterday's highest temperature. And, of course, it's the second hottest temperature we have officially recorded in the UK. It comes out underneath the maximum temperature that we had, and it's the UK's all-time maximum temperature that we had on the 10th of August 2003. Now, there are rumours going around the forums and online on social media that actually the high temperature yesterday may have been at 38.7. Again at Cambridge Botanic Gardens. 38.7 would, of course, be an all-time UK temperature record, rather than the 38.1, which is the second highest UK temperature record. Nobody seems entirely sure what's happening at the moment. Nobody seems to know whether this weather station at UK Botanic Gardens is actually an official UK Met Office weather station or not. I've seen a picture of it this morning at the Weather Outlook forum. Do check out Weather Outlook forum if you would like to do that. I've seen a picture of it. It does look pretty barren, I have to say. It looks a little bit a bit of a strange place to have a weather station. But anyway, we may, at some point, UK Met Office are saying that they are still verifying the data, although why it would take this long, I'm not sure. There's also another weather station at Brogdale in Kent, I think, but that's going to be looked at today. Wasn't looked at yesterday. So quite what's gone on here, what's going on, I'm not sure, but it all seems a bit odd that we are sort of 24 hours after the event. We still don't yet know whether that 38.1 is yesterday's hottest temperature, or whether we're going to find out in a few hours or a few days that actually we have beaten, or we did beat 2003. If that happens, if sort of several hours or days after the event, it's suddenly announced that we have had our hottest day in the UK ever, I think there'll be a lot of controversy about that. So I think it'll be quite controversial the way that happens, if it happens. But getting ahead of ourselves, because there's nothing official from the UK Met about this yet. And at the moment, that temperature, 38.1, that is still the official high temperature for yesterday. So I was just going to keep an eye on the UK Met Twitter feed, and of course, if we do get 38.7 as our official high temperature for yesterday, beating 10th of August 2003, then we will hear lots and lots and lots about it in the media. So we'll know when it happens, if it happens. But at the moment, Cambridge, not Cambridge Botanic Gardens, but just Cambridge, is still hanging in there at 38.1 as yesterday's official hot temperature. Now, something else I wanted to cover with this one. So this video is going to be a little bit longer than normal, but I did want to cover this as well, because a couple of people have emailed me and asked why we're saying, or the UK Met, I suppose, is saying that we have only reached 38 degrees twice in the UK's history, sort of yesterday and then back in 2003, when there are other recorded examples of 38 degrees being recorded in the past. So at Trevor Harley's website, Trevor Harley, of course, I get the information from Trevor Harley's website, but I include in the historic videos that we do occasionally at Gazwevids. So we can go a long way back with the information here at Trevor Harley's website on the page for British weather in July. So got every month's worth of the July information going back to 1900 in detail, and going even further back in time for some years. Now we've got 1911 here, July 1911, where Trevor Harley is writing, "It's a magnificent month in a magnificent summer. Hot, dry and sunny part of a famous summer. There was a remarkable hot spell, although it is quite difficult to be certain about the exact temperatures because of A, uncertainty about screening, and B, temperatures were taken in Fahrenheit rather than Celsius or centigrade. The reading of 38.1, so this is one of the examples in the past where a recording of 38 Celsius has been recorded. So the reading of 38.1, 100.5 Fahrenheit, claimed at Greenwich on the 22nd of July 1911, is now not accepted as the screening conditions at Greenwich were non-standard. It is more likely to have been around it's more likely to have been about 36.1, which is still quite a temperature. So what happens here is that these very, very high temperatures that we have had in the past, going back into the early 20th century and even further back than that, into the 19th century, most or all of those readings are discarded in retrospect from the temperature record, because of the screening conditions are not considered to be reliable enough to include them. That's not to say that they didn't happen. They did happen. Those temperatures were recorded. Nobody was making it up. It's just that back then the screening conditions were non-standard conditions, and so they are not considered to be reliable. Another example, if we go down through here, of when we certainly had recordings of 38 degrees 100 Fahrenheit a long time ago, was back in, let's try and find it, back in 1868. There it is, just there. So Trevor Hardy writes about that, 38.1. Again, you see 38.1 is very similar temperature to what we had yesterday. 38.1, 100.5 Fahrenheit was reported as being recorded at Tunbridge on the 22nd of July 1868. Although the screening was non-standard, and this temperature is now recognised as being far too high. So you see how retrospectively it's been taken out of the temperature record. The temperature was more likely actually around 36.5, which is 97 to 98 Fahrenheit. A dry month with no rain at all reported in parts of Midlands. Very hot summer in 1868, 1869. And even further back than that, we've got 1808 just here. So this is potentially the hottest temperature that we've ever had in the UK, but we'll never know if it was or not. So Trevor Hardy writes about that. There was a memorable heat wave in the middle of the month, particularly affecting the east of the country. The spell included Hot Wednesday. 13th of July 1808 might have been hotter than any day in the 20th century. Estimates suggest it reached 100 Fahrenheit and might well have reached 40 degrees Celsius, which is something we have never done in the UK officially. Might well have reached 40 degrees Celsius, 105 Fahrenheit in places in southern England on the 30th of July 1808. There were unfortunately many heat-related deaths. It was an extraordinary heat wave, concluding in intense thunderstorms on St Swithin's Day. So again, there's no sort of official information about that heatwave in 1808. We know the CT for the month overall was very hot at 18.4, but because it's so far back, the sort of daily temperatures that were recorded are non-standard. They weren't recorded in what we would regard today as reliable conditions, and so they can't be included in the official temperature record, which is the same as July 1868, the same as July 1911. So that's the reason. And I don't say whether it's right or wrong that those old temperature records are discarded. It's not for me to say, it's up to you as the viewer to make your mind up. So that's just why we are saying, or the UK Met Office and everybody else is saying, that we have only reached 38 degrees twice, yesterday and 2003, with 2003 still the highest temperature. But whether that will remain the case over the next few days, we shall wait and see. I hope that's cleared it up as best I can. And again, I don't say whether they're right to discard those old temperature records from 1911 and 1868. I don't say whether that's right or wrong, but that's what's happening anyway. Right, so central temperature for July 2019 is on the up, and we are currently standing at 17.8, an anomaly now of nearly 2 degrees above average, 1.8 degrees above average, provisional to yesterday, 25th. This could well tick up to 18 Celsius over the next day or so. I think it might be at 8.0 to 18.0, I should say, tomorrow, but there is going to be a downwards correction. So I don't think we're going to have another 18 Celsius CT month. I think we're going to come in somewhere in the mid 17. So I suspect we will probably finish up somewhere around 17.5 Maybe a bit above that, maybe a bit below it, but I think that's around where we're going to come out for the end of the month. Very warm July, but nowhere near as hot as July last year, which of course had a centering temperature of above 19 degrees. The temperature is continuing to cool down now, so of course had that extreme heat yesterday. Temperatures are lowering and are going to continue to do so over the next few days. This is from weatherapp.com. This is radar pictures, so you can see we have had some sporadic rain, a little bit thundering at times across eastern parts of the country this morning. A lot of that is beginning to die out, though there is a heavier pulse moving up towards Lincoln and Sheffield at the moment when I'm recording the video. Otherwise it all looks rather patchy, but things are probably pepping up with this rain overnight tonight. This is how the temperatures are currently looking. So still pretty warm in the extreme east. Over towards the east coast near Norwich, we're at around 27 at the moment. That's still into the 80s Fahrenheit. Through the Midlands, it's kind of like mid-20s, so 24, 25, and then go towards the west coast of the country, and it is genuinely a lot cooler there. Temperatures are down into the low 20s to upper teens, and this cooler air is continuing to filter in across the country. When it's been so very, very hot as it was yesterday, it does take a while to drain that heat away, particularly from towns and cities. The concrete of the buildings will sort of soak in the heat and then gradually release it out. Heat island effect. So it does take a while after it's been so extremely hot. It takes a while to gradually release that heat out, but things are cooling down and will continue to do so. There's going to be wet weather involved in this, so this is how the precipitation forecast is looking at the moment from Euro 4. This is UK Met Office product at Weather Online, of course. So this 3 o'clock in the afternoon, around when I'm doing video, showing patchy rain here across central parts of the country, but through the afternoon into the evening, notice how this rain is really pepping up across England and Wales and also up to eastern parts of Scotland. I don't think this is particularly thundery. I think it's just outbreaks of persistent and at times quite heavy rain. That's midday tomorrow, looking very wet. I say this has crept up on us over the past couple of days, but tomorrow could be a wet day with outbreaks of rain coming down, kind of like pulses of rain that will be running along a waving weather front. So it won't be continuously pouring, but it'll be one of those days tomorrow where you have a pulse of heavy rain lasting for half an hour, an hour or so, then it might go drier for an hour or two, then another pulse of heavy rain, and so on. You can see how this rain is stretching out from western Scotland through much of northern England to the northwest of Wales, down to the Midlands, into East Anglia, South East England. There are some deep blue colours in there, telling us that there's some pretty heavy rain associated with this through the course of tomorrow. And the front is stuck, it's not really going anywhere fast, so it's still there actually as we go into Sunday, pushing a little bit further westwards on Sunday, getting towards Northern Ireland and over into parts of Wales as well, still through the Midlands into southeast parts of the country. With this weather system stuck and these pulses of rain continuing through much of Saturday and into Sunday, we are seeing some pretty high precipitation accumulation. So we'll just look at that very quickly before we move on to the next week to 10 days. And, well, this is how the accumulation looks in 48 hours time. You see quite widely in this sway from western Scotland down through northern England into the Midlands, into southeastern parts of the country, quite widely, with between sort of 30 to 50 millimetres, one or two places going a bit higher than that, going to like 60 or maybe even 70 or 80 millimetres. So there is going to be some pretty wet weather around tomorrow, to say the least, and lasting into Sunday as well. You notice that for South Wales, South East England, you mainly miss out on a lot of this wet weather. Much of northern Scotland misses out on it as well. But there's going to be quite a bit of rain coming up, and that will continue to cool down the atmosphere, of course. So by Sunday, everyone, or even by tomorrow, everyone will be feeling a lot cooler. Thought I'd include this North Atlantic oscillation observed and forecast chart. So the black line shows where we've been with the NEO. Red lines at the end show where the GFS ensembles forecasting the NEO to go. Now, been through a very prolonged negative phase of the NEO. The whole of May had a negative NEO, as did the whole of June. and even into the first half of July, the negative NAO continued. However, over the past few days, and we've not been talking about this in the videos because I've been concentrating on the heat wave, but I have got time to do it now. Over the past few days, the NAO has actually ticked up positive. So we did end, a couple of days ago, we did end that prolonged negative phase of the North Atlantic Oscillation. However, you can see from the GFS ensembles, which is the red chart, the red lines at the end of the chart, you can see that we're going back into negative territory big time to the start of August. So it's only a little tick up, it's just a little deviation from the trend, and we're going back to trend for early August, which is a continuation of this negative NAO that we've had since before the summer began. We've had it really since around the third week of April. So we have had our first days of positive NAO conditions since around the third week of April, but we're going back into negativity of the NAO once again very, very soon. Now, remember, it's just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state. It's not driving anything, just tells you what the atmosphere is doing. So if the NAO is in its positive phase, then you're going to have low pressure around Iceland and high pressure through the Azores. And that's kind of like the default setup for the Atlantic and for Northern Europe, especially in the winter. In the case of a negative NAO, you're going to have high pressure around Iceland and low pressure through the Azores. It's the reverse. Of course, in winter, that could be a colder signal. In summer, it can often be a pretty cool and wet signal. Arctic Oscillation is also in a negative phase. So again, this is the AO observed and forecast chart. Black line shows where we've been with the Arctic Oscillation. Red line showing the end where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic Oscillation to go. At the moment, we are negative with the AO, and GFS ensembles are forecasting as going to August. We're staying negative with the AO as well. This tells us we've got appreciable levels of high pressure within the northern latitudes. In fact, that blocking signal around Greenland, I think, is going to be strengthening in the next week or so. So with both the indexes, both the AO and the NAO in their negative phases as we go into August, we might be seeing signals here for cool and relatively unsettled conditions. Let's have a look at the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. The red line here, 30-year upper air temperature average for London. Temperatures are continuing to come down, so we are still very substantially above average with the upper air temperatures right now. But by tomorrow, 27th of July, just there, you see that we are back to average with the upper air temperature. We will be back to average with the upper air temperatures by Sunday into Monday. Actually, can you believe it, going just a little bit below the 30-year temperature average, although it will still be warm whenever the sun comes out because the sun has so much strength in July that whenever it's shining, it will still feel warm, even if the upper air temperatures are a bit below average. After that, well, we might be seeing a little bit of a warmer period just here appearing. Nowhere near as hot as the last few days have been, but first 2 or 3 days of August might be a little bit warmer. And then maybe a decline in the temperature as we go further through the first week of August into the second week of August. So maybe down in this period, then going up a little bit through that period, and then back down again just there. Although, of course, this part of the ensemble is a very long way out and therefore unreliable. There is precipitation coming up as well. That's the wet weather that we've got coming up over the weekend, especially so for tomorrow, for London, anyway, for South East, but that rain will be hanging around for some parts of the country, as we've already established, even into Sunday. And then next week we have got more precipitation spikes showing up, so at the very least you can expect showers as we go into the early part of August. Right, where to next? We go to temperature anomalies. So the temperature anomaly from the 26th of July to the 3rd of August is coming out ever so slightly warmer than average. Not a big deviation. We have lost that intense heat that we had on these charts a couple of days ago. Precipitation anomalies close to or possibly a little bit above average, especially through central and eastern parts of the country. That's how the GFS operational run looks for Monday. So we've got low pressure across the northern part of the country. We've got this little area of low pressure down here around the Bay of Biscay. That might bring some wet weather into southern parts of the country from Monday to Tuesday. Might bring some heavy rain into the south. Then we go through into middle part of next week and we start to build up a slight transient bump of high pressure through the middle part of next week. This is to Friday the 2nd of August, a week away. And of course, this ridge building up through in the second half of next week there is this period just here that I was just talking about, where we might see a bit of a warm up through the first 2, 3, 4 days of August. So it might get quite warm there, temperatures sort of into the mid-20s Celsius. Into more extended range, heading up towards day 10, well, that ridge is weakening and low pressure eventually starts coming in from off the Atlantic. It is quite a slow process, though, to move this low pressure in, so it doesn't go properly unsettled, this GFS run, until we get to the second week of August, and by then we are in a very, very unsettled spell of weather. GM looks like that. Again, there's that little low that we've got to our southwest on Monday. Where does the GM place that through to Tuesday? But it keeps it just over the channel, so it does threaten some heavy rain for southern coastal counties. By the way, notice how much northern blocking we've got up here. Loads and loads of high pressure going on within the northern latitude, so that's the reason the AO and the NAO are plunging down again. That's Wednesday, looking rather unsettled, rather showery, and as we go into the second half of next week, well, there's that little ridge building from the south, so perhaps a bit drier and warmer through the second half of next week. However, it doesn't last long at all. Any attempt at a ridge is soon swept aside by low pressure in from off the Atlantic. We finish up at day 10 looking very unsettled and quite cool and wet. ECM is looking like that. Again, there's that very extensive northern blocking on Monday. High pressure. This is the same high pressure that's given us a heat wave. High pressure by then is sitting up around Greenland and up towards the Arctic. There's that low pressure to our southwest. Where does the ECM take that low? Well, again, it's running it in just to the south of us, so that perhaps affects more channel areas through Monday to Tuesday. Need to pin down where that low's going, because there could be quite a lot of rain involved with that. Into the middle of next week, well, there's that ridge building from Wednesday through Thursday to Friday, so that does dry things out into the second half of next week and potentially warms things up a little bit too. But by the time we get through to day 10, look at this, low pressure is in off the Atlantic, returning cool and unsettled by day 10, which is Monday the 5th of August. These are the options that we've got on the table within the ECM ensembles today. So day 10, of course, is the 5th of August. This is from the Icelandic Met Office. We have 51 out of 51 members of the ECM ensembles, 100%, have a blocking area of high pressure around Greenland and extending north, and low pressure underneath it, very much in line with what we just saw with the ECM operational run, and therefore we're bringing in quite a lot of rain, quite a lot of unsettled weather from off the Atlantic. Not particularly warm either. In 2 weeks' time, that northern blocking signal continues. This gets us to the 10th of August, and the ECM ensembles have this high pressure around Greenland extending into a mid-Atlantic ridge with a trough of low pressure almost over the top of the UK. Cool air will be fed into that trough of low pressure, so that continues to be cool and unsettled. So the ECM ensembles are in agreement with what we was talking about in JMA Friday through in today's first video update, which is a generally quite cool and unsettled August, perhaps, although in terms of the ECM ensembles, they only run to through the first sort of 10 days of August. Finally, we have the CFS 700 millibar height anomaly. I think 700 millibars. Yes, 700 millibar height anomaly is looking for August. This isn't all that good either. It has a mid-Atlantic ridge extending up towards above average heights around Greenland and low pressure as a trough almost over the top of the UK. And so very much in line with a lot of the other output at the moment. It looks relatively cool and relatively unsettled for August there. Temperature anomalies are around average, maybe ever so slightly above. No signal for precipitation, but with a trough over top of the UK, you would expect quite a wettish month, I would have thought. The signals aren't great for August, but we shall see how this pans out over the coming few days. We shall see what happens, but at the moment the signals don't look particularly inspiring for August. Right, that's it. So, big extended video today. I wanted to tell you what's happening with the temperature. As soon as we know what's happened there, whether we are going to stick with 38.1 or whether we did beat August 2003's all-time UK temperature, as soon as we know, obviously I'll feature it in a video, and it's just going to be a case of watching this space, and the Met will go through all of the data and see what they can come up with. Right, so we're going to be back tonight with the ENSO update. I've still got that to do. Normally I pre-record that a couple of nights before, but I forgot all about it with the heat and with all of the other updates we've been doing. So I've got that to do later this afternoon. I'll bring that to you this evening. Tomorrow, we've got weekend forecast and a week to 10-day video update, and we'll begin tomorrow with the second season model roundup for the autumn of 2019. So that's going to be a pretty interesting watch. I think that'll be the first video up tomorrow. I have got that one done. Did that way back on Monday night, so that one is well and truly in the can, and you'll see that tomorrow morning. Right, that's all for now then. Thanks for watching.